Most of us dream of living a long life, but the real dream is not just about more years. It is about living those years with strength, energy, and clarity of mind. What if you could reach 100, or even beyond, and still walk with ease, think with sharpness, and enjoy life without being dependent on medications or machines? For centuries, that kind of life seemed impossible. Today, however, more and more people are crossing the 100-year mark, and science is uncovering exactly what it takes to become one of them. Before we dive in, know this. What you're about to hear isn't based on fads, myths, or quick fixes. It comes from decades of scientific research, real-world evidence from the longest-living populations, and proven strategies that doctors and health experts agree make a measurable difference. If you stay until the end, you'll not only understand what truly drives longevity, you'll have clear, practical steps you can start applying today. To understand how to live longer, it helps to first look back at human history. For most of human existence, life was short and brutal. In prehistoric times, many people died before they reached 30. Even in the mid-1800s, average life expectancy hovered around 35 years. At first glance, this makes it seem like modern medicine must be the main reason we now live so much longer. But the truth is more interesting. The first big jump in life expectancy had little to do with antibiotics or vaccines. The real game changer was something far less glamorous: plumbing and sanitation. Before cities had sewage systems, children frequently died from infections like cholera, typhoid, and dysentery. More than half of all children never reached the age of 15. When cities finally cleaned up their water supply and waste systems, child mortality plummeted and the average lifespan rose dramatically. Later on, antibiotics, vaccines, and surgical advances added further years, but the biggest single leap in human longevity came from cleaner living conditions. This is where we have to pause and ask an important question. Do we want to rely only on medicine to manage disease, or do we want to actively build health? These are not the same thing. Modern medicine can extend life by keeping people alive with pills, procedures, or even machines. But this often means spending the final decade of life frail, dependent, and suffering from low quality of living. Building true health, on the other hand, means preserving strength, maintaining clear thinking, and having enough energy to truly enjoy life. Longevity is not just about adding years, it is about adding life to those years. When we study the places in the world with the highest number of centenarians, two regions stand out: Japan and Hong Kong. Japan is famous for having the most people over the age of 100, with more than 95,000 citizens living beyond that milestone. Hong Kong, although smaller, has the highest overall life expectancy in the world. By comparing their habits to Western lifestyles, we can start to see clear patterns that reveal why they thrive. In Japan, nutrition education begins early. Children receive structured lessons about food and health directly in school, taught by professionals who are far less influenced by junk food corporations than their American counterparts. Imagine if every child grew up understanding how food shapes their future. Instead of being raised on soda, candy, and processed starches, they are exposed to rice that is less refined, meat and fish that are considered healthy, and soy products that are fermented instead of processed into protein powders. They eat vegetables, soups, and seaweed, rich in iodine and trace minerals. In fact, the average Japanese person consumes 9 times more iodine than the average American. And this mineral plays a crucial role in balancing hormones and protecting against excess estrogen. Japanese diets also include large amounts of fermented foods such as miso, natto, and pickled vegetables. Fermented foods are alive with beneficial microbes which support gut health, immune function, and even the production of neurotransmitters. The Japanese consume more salt than Americans, but because their diet is also rich in potassium from vegetables and seaweed, the balance keeps blood pressure stable. They drink green tea daily, which is packed with compounds that fight inflammation, detoxify the liver and protect against cancer. And perhaps most importantly, they practice the tradition of eating until only 80% full, avoiding the habit of overeating that overwhelms metabolism and damages the mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside our cells. Hong Kong tells a different but equally fascinating story. People there eat more meat than almost anywhere else in the world, consuming hundreds of pounds of pork and beef each year. Despite being told for decades that red meat shortens life, Hong Kong residents live exceptionally long. How is this possible? The answer lies in context. They also walk a great deal, have relatively low smoking rates, and eat plenty of seafood. Once again, lifestyle as a whole matters more than any single food. The lesson here is that balanced animal protein, paired with activity and community, can actually support longevity rather than shorten it. Now let us move from observation to application. Researchers and health experts have identified a set of practical steps that strongly influence how long and how well we live. The first is controlling insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is at the root of many chronic conditions, from fatty liver disease to diabetes and obesity. Doctors often test blood sugar, or A1C, but these markers can look normal for years, even while insulin levels are skyrocketing. A better test is fasting insulin. Ideally, fasting insulin should remain below 7, and for optimal health, even below 5. Reducing refined carbohydrates, sugar, and processed starches keeps insulin under control and prevents the cascade of damage that comes from constantly elevated insulin. The second principle is autophagy, which is the body's natural process of cleaning out damaged proteins and recycling old cellular parts. Autophagy slows aging and protects against diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's. It is activated by fasting, particularly intermittent fasting, and periodic longer fasts lasting 2 to 3 days. Giving the body time without food allows it to repair instead of constantly processing calories. A third cornerstone of longevity is cardiorespiratory fitness, measured by something called VO2 max. This test shows how efficiently the body can use oxygen, and it is one of the strongest predictors of lifespan. Regular exercise, especially interval training and resistance training, raises VO2 max and provides a protective buffer against disease, stress, and fatigue. At the cellular level, mitochondria play a central role in longevity. These microscopic energy factories rely on nutrients like B vitamins, magnesium, zinc, copper, and CoQ10 to run smoothly. When we eat a diet of processed seed oils, sugary foods, and nutrient-deficient calories, mitochondria falter. When we nourish them with high-quality protein, trace minerals, and whole foods, they thrive. Longevity also depends on something known as hormesis, which is the strengthening that comes from short bursts of stress. Exercise is one example, but so are saunas, cold plunges, and even sunlight. Heat and cold stress activate survival pathways in the body, forcing adaptation that makes us more resilient. Sunlight not only produces vitamin D, but also stimulates adaptive repair systems. Vitamin D itself is so critical that it deserves special mention. Levels between 60 and 80 nanograms per milliliter are linked with lower risks of cancer, autoimmune disease, and early death. Most people fall far short of this, either because they avoid the sun or spend too much time indoors. Supplementation and sensible sun exposure can close the gap. Equally vital is the human need for social connection. Studies show that loneliness is more deadly than smoking or obesity. People who feel isolated face higher risks of heart disease, depression, and early death. In contrast, strong family ties, friendships, and community involvement provide emotional resilience and protect health well into old age. Another habit that protects against disease is the practice of eating until you are only 80% full. Overeating overwhelms cells with fuel, creates oxidative stress, and accelerates aging. A moderate approach to meals allows mitochondria to function smoothly and prevents long-term metabolic damage. A simple walk after eating also helps regulate blood sugar. This post-meal walk acts almost like a natural medication, improving glucose control without side effects. Gut health is another cornerstone. A diverse microbiome supports digestion, immunity, and even mood. Fermented foods like raw sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, yogurt, and natto introduce beneficial microbes that colonize the gut and provide protection. Even a small piece of dark chocolate, if unsweetened, can feed gut bacteria in positive ways. No discussion of longevity would be complete without emphasizing sleep. Sleep is not a luxury. It is essential for repair, memory, and hormone balance. Consistently sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night lowers the risk of nearly every chronic disease. Magnesium glycinate before bed can relax the body and lower cortisol. Keeping the bedroom cool, ideally between 62 and 68 degrees, improves deep sleep. Exposure to morning sunlight resets the circadian rhythm, while avoiding blue light from screens at night prevents disruption of the body's sleep cycle. On a genetic level, there is evidence that certain longevity genes, such as FOXO3, can be activated by lifestyle. Fasting, endurance exercise, resistance training, saunas, cold therapy, and phytonutrients from foods like green tea, turmeric, and broccoli sprouts all encourage these genes to express themselves more strongly, leading to longer and healthier lives. Maintaining muscle mass is another non-negotiable principle. With age, many people develop sarcopenia, a dangerous loss of muscle that leads to frailty, falls, and loss of independence. Resistance training and sufficient protein intake, especially from animal sources, protect against this decline. Testosterone also plays a key role. In both men and women, healthy testosterone levels support muscle, mood, and vitality. Lifestyle factors such as quality sleep, zinc intake, and strength training help maintain testosterone naturally. Taken together, these principles form a powerful blueprint for longevity. They show us that the key is not one miracle food or supplement, but a lifestyle built on consistent habits, eating wisely, moving daily, sleeping deeply, fostering connections, and embracing small challenges that make the body adapt and grow stronger. Japan and Hong Kong have shown us that it is possible to live not only long, but well. Science now confirms what these cultures have practiced for generations. If we combine the wisdom of tradition with the tools of modern research, we can extend both our lifespan and our health span, giving us more years and better years at the same time. In the end, the goal is not simply to reach 100. The goal is to arrive at 100 still able to walk under your own power, still able to remember the names of your grandchildren, still able to enjoy meals, conversations, and the beauty of life. That is what real longevity looks like, and with the right choices, it is within our reach.